Shalom everyone, Joshua here, and boy do I have a good one for y'all today. Check this out. So, if you are a buffoon like me, and you removed a transfer case from say something like a 2006 Chevrolet Silverado 1500, and you failed to follow General Motors instructions to put the transfer case into neutral prior to removing, and then reinstalling a new or used unit, well, guess what? You have encountered the issue of the shift actuator motor and transfer case shaft alignment debacle. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, so major failure on my behalf when I did this recent transfer case replacement. Now, the good news is to fix the issue, it's super simple, and I'll just point that out real quick. All you have to do is take the cover off here and turn this little gear to its appropriate timing marks, which will put it in alignment for the shaft on the transfer case when that shaft itself is in the neutral position. All right, scope this out. Now, my problem that I really encountered was just trying to get this case cover off initially. The vehicle I was working on came out of Michigan, and it was all some kind of corroded. So be aware that these two bolts that go right here for this plastic motor cover, these could potentially get all some kind of corroded and break. In my case, it ended up that this particular one, this one came out. All right, this one did not. The head of it broke off, leaving the shank of the bolt still down in here, and it was corroded so bad it was practically welded to the point where, I mean, it took some serious force. I almost thought I was going to break this case. Not this particular one, the one that's still on the truck, but I thought I was going to break the case cover just trying to separate it. That's how bad that one bolt got corroded in there. So be mindful that, yes, those bolts could be a headache when taking these apart. But so yeah, there you go. There is that. Now, to do this, there's a couple things. These two bolts are T20s, and then you'll just need to remove these two here and here, which are T15s. Why in the world? They're two different sizes. Only the father in Shamayim knows, peeps. Don't know. Be mindful, these two have no need to be removed. They just simply hold this plastic cover to this aluminum cover here. So there is no need to remove them. All right. Oh, real quick. So on, at least as far as I'm aware, the factory shift actuator motor covers, they actually have impressions. I don't know which one that one is. I guess four-wheel drive or something. It designates something. However, the one with the circle impression is the alignment for the fancy tooth. Here, I'll show you the fancy tooth. All right. So this is the fancy tooth that you're having problems with aligning on the transfer case. Well, there you go. That's the neutral mark right there on the housing cover. So that's a quick reference point on that. All right. So after fighting getting these two bolts out, if you have to, but if you don't have to fight them, you're very fortunate. Count your blessings. And boom. Yeah, when I did the transfer case, I was very blessed because when I put that video together, it will reveal pretty much every potential challenge a DIYer could encounter when removing and replacing a transfer case unit. So, but yeah. All right. Now, all you got to do is take this little cover off and be mindful that underneath here are going to be two washers. And in my case, since I've had this off a few times, they stayed on here, but you might find them here and here. So it's these little rings, these little metal rings. You can see one on that gear and then one right there. Just ensure to watch out if they might still remain adhered in these two locations, to put them back there upon reinstalling. But that's the guts, peeps. Pretty simple. So whatever the TCCM or what have you sends signal, motor, blah blah blah. So here's a little encoder down here that's attached to this unit, and it's actually a common fail part too, which is what led me to determining this is the method to address the shift actuator motor alignment issue to the transfer case, was because being that this encoder gets replaced frequently, it allows you to align this gear. So there you go. That's all you have to do, is take the case cover off, pull up on this unit, give it a little wiggle if you need, and what you will find is these timing marks. Now, here again, this is something I know is on the factory, couldn't tell you about in any aftermarket units, but you're going to find the little dot on the big gear, and you're just going to simply align it with that mark right there, and give it a little wiggle back down until it seats in there, and you should be good to go. This one's just being a little bit silly because I done fiddled with it half a dozen times. Come on, goose. There it goes. All right. That's as simple as it is. Now, if you were replacing the encoder ring, check this out. Just pull this up. All right. Come down here. Disconnect the socket. Boom, the little plug there. Let me put together a little flathead screwdriver real quick. And then very gently just give it some pries around until it slides off. So this is another component in the four-wheel drive system. I guess it affects pretty much the mid-2000s generation, you know, Chevrolet and GMC pick-em-ups and SUVs. But just take your time, go around, don't get all crazy with it, and it will eventually slide off of there. Eventually. See? I wonder. Yeah, you can get it to a point where you can just wiggle it off. So there's the encoder. Just ensure that the flat side goes back down. It has a little keyway itself there. Boom. And then find your alignment mark. Plug it in, plug it in. Get it back in alignment. As such, replace the ring. And, you know, one last little tip. I'm sure you could probably put a little extra grease on here to help them gears out because, you know, grease dries up. This stuff is just old and super tacky and it's not feeling like it's bad. So yeah, I probably find a little grease to put in there for that. Maybe give these rollers a little bit of grease that are inside this cover here, and then replace this gasket. Just a couple little tips there. Put it all back together, put it in the vehicle, and you're off and running. All right, there you go. That's how simple it is to fix the alignment issue if you have encountered that dilemma on one of those Chevrolet or GMC pickup or SUVs. I'm out of here, peeps. Take your skills, help your family, friends, neighbors, strangers solve their problems. It's called Love Thy Neighbors. Shalom.